Stop everything you are doing right now and listen carefully. Because in the next few minutes, I am going to reveal something that most men will spend their entire lives never figuring out. And the painful part is this. The opportunity has probably already passed you by at least once. Maybe more than once. And you never even knew it was there. Here is what is really happening when a woman is deeply attracted to an older man. She does not walk up to him with a confession. She does not send a long message explaining her feelings. She does not make it obvious. What she does instead will surprise you completely. She asks him two very specific questions. Questions that sound so ordinary, so harmless, so casual that most men answer them without a second thought and walk away completely unaware that they just failed the most important test of the entire interaction. Are you still with me? Good. Because I need you locked in from this point forward. These two questions are not small talk. They are not curiosity. They are a window directly into her deepest intentions. And by the end of this video, you will never hear them the same way again. Let us go. Before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome. This channel exists for one reason only. To give men, especially men over 40 and 50, the real, honest, and deeply researched understanding of female psychology that nobody ever taught them. So hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. Join the thousands of men who are already waking up to what is really happening around them. Now, let us get back into it. Because it gets much deeper from here. Here is something I need you to sit with for a moment. Most men over 50 are not failing with women because they are unattractive. They are not failing because they are too old or too set in their ways, or because the world has moved on without them. They are failing because nobody ever updated their operating system. The way most men in this age group were raised to read female interest is completely outdated. They were taught to look for obvious signals. A long stare. A deliberate touch. A woman who finds excuses to stay close. And yes, sometimes those signals exist. But the women who are most drawn to older men, the emotionally intelligent, deeply feeling, genuinely interested women, they do not operate that way. They are far more subtle. Far more layered. And here is the painful truth behind that subtlety. These women have lived enough life to know that showing interest openly carries enormous emotional risk. They have opened themselves before and been misread. They have been too forward and been made to feel foolish for it. So they learn to wrap their attraction inside something that feels much safer. They wrap it inside questions. Ordinary sounding, completely innocent, easily overlooked questions. And when a man hears those questions at face value, when he answers them casually and moves the conversation along, she takes that as her answer. She concludes that either he did not notice or he was not interested. And she closes the door. Not with anger. Not with drama. Just quietly. Finally. And almost always permanently. The misread is not about attraction. It is about awareness. And awareness is exactly what we are building today. Now we need to go somewhere deeper. Because before I reveal the two questions, you need to understand the psychological engine running behind them. And I promise you, once you see this, everything will click into place. Women do not test men out of cruelty. They do not create these subtle emotional checkpoints because they enjoy watching men struggle. The reason is far more primal than that. Far more human. Here is the core truth. Before a woman can open herself emotionally or physically to a man, her entire psychological system needs one thing above everything else. She needs to feel safe. Not safe in a physical sense. Safe in an emotional sense. Safe enough to be vulnerable. Safe enough to want. Safe enough to let herself be seen by someone without the fear of being dismissed, rejected, or made to feel foolish for feeling something real. And the only way she can determine whether a man is truly safe is by watching how he responds when she gently reaches toward him. Think of her questions as small emotional bridges she builds between her world and yours. Each question is a plank placed carefully across the gap. And what she is watching, what she is feeling for with every nerve in her body, is whether you step onto that bridge with presence and steadiness, or whether you stumble, rush, or completely miss it. When you answer her questions at face value, you miss the bridge entirely. When you answer with awareness, with warmth, with the quiet confidence of a man who understands what is really being asked, you do not just step onto the bridge. You become the reason she wants to cross it. This is the psychology behind every question she carefully places in your path. And the two questions I am about to reveal are the most powerful of all. Now pay very close attention here, because this is the piece that most people completely overlook. The questions a woman asks a man over 50 carry a completely different emotional weight than the questions she asks a younger man. The stakes are higher. The expectations are deeper. And the standard she quietly holds is significantly more demanding. Here is the reason why. When a woman looks at a man in his 20s or 30s, she extends a kind of grace. She gives him room to still be figuring himself out. She accepts the uncertainty because she understands that he is still in the process of becoming who he is going to be. But when a woman looks at a man over 50, that grace is not automatically extended. She assumes, and honestly she assumes reasonably, that a man who has lived through 5 or more decades of life has been shaped by that life into someone with depth. Someone with emotional clarity. Someone who has made peace with his story and arrived at a place of genuine inner steadiness. She expects him to know himself. So when she asks her questions, she is not checking whether he is growing. She is checking whether he has already arrived. Whether his life has real weight and real warmth to it. Whether the man sitting across from her is truly present or simply older. And the two questions she uses to make that determination are devastatingly precise. They sound like casual conversation, but they cut straight to the truth of who you are. And you are about to hear exactly what they are. The first question, what does a perfect day look like for you? Here it is. The first question. She looks at you at some point in the conversation, maybe after a few laughs, maybe after a moment of comfortable silence, and she asks with what seems like simple curiosity. What does a perfect day look like for you? And most men smile and give a casual answer. They talk about sleeping in, watching a game, maybe a good meal. They answer the surface of the question and keep the conversation moving. But here is what just happened underneath that surface. She did not ask that question to learn your schedule. She asked it because she was already picturing herself inside your world. She was already imagining, quietly and privately, what it would feel like to be close to you. And what she needed to know, what she was desperately listening for in your answer, was whether your world is somewhere she would want to be. This question reveals 3 things about you simultaneously. First, it reveals whether your life has joy in it. A man whose perfect day is rich with things he genuinely loves, whether that is a morning walk, a good book, a meaningful conversation over coffee, or the quiet satisfaction of building something with his hands, that man radiates a life worth entering. Second, it reveals whether there is space for another person in your world. When your perfect day sounds warm, open, and connected, she can imagine herself as part of it. When it sounds closed off and solitary, she feels like an intrusion before she has even arrived. Third, and most powerfully, it reveals whether you are still alive inside. Whether life still excites you. Whether you still want things, feel things, and move toward things with genuine enthusiasm. When a man answers this question with real warmth and genuine detail, something shifts in her. She stops just enjoying the conversation and starts feeling something deeper. She starts feeling drawn. And that is exactly what she was quietly hoping for when she asked. The second question, have you ever been really in love? And then comes the second question. And this one is even more revealing. At some point, when the conversation has deepened and the emotional temperature between you has risen slightly, she will look at you with something more intentional in her eyes and ask, have you ever been really in love? Feel the weight of that question for a moment. She is not asking for a biography. She is not collecting data about your relationship history. She is not trying to find out whether you are over your ex or whether you have baggage. She is asking because she needs to know something absolutely essential about you before she allows herself to feel anything more for you. She needs to know whether your heart still works. Because here is the quiet fear that lives inside every woman who finds herself drawn to an older man. She worries that he has been through enough pain, enough disappointment, enough failed connections, that he has shut himself down emotionally. That the walls he built to survive his past have now become permanent. That he is no longer truly available, not just in terms of relationship status, but in terms of emotional capacity. This question is her way of reaching toward that wall and feeling whether it is still there. When a man answers this question with deflection, with humor that avoids the real answer, or with a flat and closed response, she feels the wall, and she steps back. But when a man answers with quiet honesty, when he acknowledges that yes, he has loved deeply, that it shaped him, that it taught him things about himself he could not have learned any other way, and that his heart is not closed because of it, but actually more open, more discerning, more ready for something real, she feels something unlock inside her. She feels that this man is emotionally alive, emotionally brave, emotionally available. And that, more than anything else he could ever say or do, is what makes her want to move closer. This is the moment everything shifts. And I want you to feel the significance of what I am about to describe. When a man answers both questions with genuine warmth, with groundedness, and with the quiet, emotional honesty of a man who truly knows himself, something remarkable happens inside the woman sitting across from him. She stops testing. The part of her that was carefully measuring and quietly guarding herself begins to soften. Not because she decided to let her guard down, but because she no longer feels the need to keep it up. She starts leaning in. The conversation gets warmer and more personal. Her eyes hold yours a little longer than before. She begins sharing things about herself that she does not share with just anyone. She starts laughing more freely. She touches her hair. She finds reasons to keep the conversation going even when natural stopping points appear. And underneath all of that, something even more powerful is happening. She is imagining. She is imagining what it would feel like to be close to you. To spend an ordinary Tuesday in your world. To be the person you talk to at the end of a long day. She is not doing this consciously. She is not making a calculated decision. It is happening because you created something in her that she has been quietly searching for. You created emotional safety. You created genuine warmth. You showed her a man who is alive, open, and worth moving toward. And that is a feeling she will not walk away from easily. Now here is the part one need you to hear most carefully of all. Everything I have described in this video, the groundedness, the emotional honesty, the warmth and clarity in your answers, none of it works if you are performing it. Women are extraordinarily sensitive to inauthenticity. They have spent their entire lives reading emotional energy in rooms, in relationships, in conversations. They are deeply attuned to the difference between a man who is genuinely present and a man who is trying to appear present. If you walk into your next conversation, mentally rehearsing how to answer these two questions, she will feel the performance underneath your words. And a performance, no matter how polished, creates distance instead of connection. The only way to truly pass these tests is to become the man the questions are designed to reveal. That means building a life that genuinely excites you so that when she asks about your perfect day, the warmth in your answer is completely real. It means doing the emotional work of making peace with your past so that when she asks about love, you can speak about it with honest openness instead of guarded deflection. It means knowing yourself deeply enough that no question, however personal, makes you flinch. When you live that way, you do not pass her tests by strategy. You pass them simply by being exactly who you are. And the right woman will feel that truth from the very first word. Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. Drop the word aware in the comments right now if this opened your eyes to something you had never seen before. Your comment lets me know you are out there, and it helps this message reach the men who need it most. See you in the next one.